presentation of Dialogue on Idaho Public Television is made possible through the generous support of the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore and Bettis family legacy of building the great state of Idaho. By the Friends of Idaho Public Television and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
It's a voice that critics are raving about. Coming up on Dialogue, meet Cecilia Violeta Lopez, a rising opera star who grew up in Idaho. That's Dialogue next. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Marcia Franklin at the historic Egyptian Theater in Boise, Idaho, where Opera Idaho staged La Traviata in January 2016. One of the most famous operas of all time, La Traviata is the tale of the tortured love between two Parisians, Violetta and Alfredo. In fact, the work is so identified with the lead female character that it was once called Violetta. Now there's a new Violetta taking the part by storm around the country, and she's from Idaho. Cecilia Violeta Lopez, more on her name in a moment, is from Rupert, Idaho. She came to opera relatively late, but it wasn't long before she was noticed, and in a big way. In 2015, the 34-year-old was chosen as an understudy at the Met, and Opera News named her one of the 25 rising opera stars in the world. Critics have described Lopez as dazzling, sumptuous, an alchemist of song, and ready for the great stages of the world. As you will see, though, she's also down to earth with an intriguing story of her own. We recorded part of her dress rehearsal for La Traviata, and then Lopez dropped by the Dialogue studio to talk more about her path from the beet fields of southern Idaho to the streets of New York City. Well, welcome home to Idaho.
Thank you again.
Your visits are getting fewer and fewer, far in between here as you get more and more popular.
They are. So this is why this Traviata is nice. It's nice to be home and singing a repertoire that's very dear to me. So,
well, I want to start by talking about your name.
Sure.
Because it's almost like fate. First of all, Saint Cecilia, your first name, is the patron saint of music.
Right.
Your middle name, Violetta, is the star of La Traviata. And so it's almost like it's meant to be, but it's not like your parents were, like naming you, desiring you to be an opera star.
Never in their minds, never in my mind had we ever thought that I was going to be pursuing a career in opera. As a matter of fact, my name comes from, I was named after my grandfather, Cecilio, my paternal grandfather, and then my parents wanted to name the women in the family, give them some sort of a flower name. So Violeta in Spanish is violet. But my dad, bless him, I love him very much. On my birth certificate, he spelled it the Italian way instead of in Spanish with one T. So it's just been Violeta with two T's, and it's just been what I've grown up with. And it wasn't until I was in college and studying the operatic repertoire that I realized that it's very Italian, and Violeta is a heroine in the operatic repertoire. And
you're becoming increasingly identified with that role because you've been doing it, so it really works out nicely. Now, music still was an important part of your family. Mm-hmm. Your mom in particular would sing to you. Talk a little bit more about that.
My mom, she was the one that planted the seed, if you will, the musical seed, because she was the one that taught me everything that she knew about music when I was little. My brother and I would help my family make extra income by hoeing beets in the summers, and those were just really long, ridiculously long days, and that's when Mom was like, you know what, let's sing songs. I'll teach you guys what I know, and that's what we would do to pass the time, to make the hours go by faster. And it's where I learned a lot of the music that she grew up with, a lot of the very traditional Mexican songs that are slowly, unfortunately, now disappearing, but it's just stuff that I really identify with. Whenever I hear one on the radio, I stop the station, crank it on the radio, and it just brings me back to my roots everywhere I go. It's just who I am.
When you did a concert at the Cathedral of the Rockies here in Boise, you really wanted people to hear some of the Mexican folk songs that meant and mean a lot to you. For instance, hopefully I'll pronounce this right, La Borrachita?
La Borrachita, yes. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, that song in particular is a song that, first of all, I had no idea Mexico had this intense repertoire of classical music, and La Borrachita kind of stems from that too, but it's more of a folk song for Mexico. But the first time I heard that song was as a child, and it's just one of these songs that I kind of lost with time and whatnot, and it wasn't until I started relearning the song for a contract that I was engaged to sing for at the Bard Summer Skate Festival. I recognized it, and I looked it up on YouTube, and lo and behold, the first thing that comes up is Pedro Infante, which is the Mexican equivalent of Frank Sinatra. And the first thing I did is call my mom, and I said, "Mom, so this contract that I have coming up, I'm singing La Borrachita, and Pedro Infante singing it, and I'm just so overwhelmed with how much my musical life has done a complete circle, and I'm here because of you." I just get it was one of those, or it still is one of those moving songs for me that just remind me so much of my mom and everything that she taught me.
And then mariachi came into the picture.
Yes, so mariachi started when I was about 10 or 12, around that area, or that time frame. My mom was the one that would gently shove me to sing with the live mariachi bands, whether it be at rodeos or quinceañeras or weddings. And it was scary because I had never met these people before, and they were playing their live instruments, and they would ask me what key they wanted a specific song sung in. I was like, I don't know. And so they would, well, sing it a little bit, and I, sing a little phrase. I'm like, okay, so it's in fa. Sure, it's in fa. Let's sing it. And yeah, so it just, and slowly but surely, I got really used to it, and I liked it. I liked being able to sing at my cousins' weddings and have that one moment that where we connect and share stories. And actually, it got to a point where I even sang mariachi music. Granted, it was like on a little, like a karaoke tape back then. It weren't CDs. And I went to the Miss Teen of Idaho pageant, and I got second place singing Me Estás Quemando, sung by Lucero. But I was the one singing it.
But opera was not on your radar originally. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of cute for our PBS viewers that really your only experience hearing opera, or hearing the word opera, came from a PBS program.
It was. I learned English off of Sesame Street when I was a kid. And Beverly Sills, back in the day, Sesame Street would have opera singers do little cameo appearances, and Beverly Sills was the one. Back in that day, I did not know who she was. I didn't know her name, but it actually wasn't until I was a grown adult and I saw her and like, oh my gosh, that's that lady. That's her. That's who I saw. But she was the first person that I saw, first opera singer that I was exposed to that sang operatically, and I was a kid, and at the time I thought, okay, that's strange. We'll just keep on learning our numbers and our ABCs and, just kind of push it off to the side.
Maybe as some kids think now, and I know you try to encourage them to learn more about opera, and we'll talk about that as well, but let's fast forward, and you were living in Las Vegas, and you were actually training to work in the medical field.
I was.
As a surgery assistant or surgical tech?
I was, putting my way through college and trying to be I was working as an orthopedic technician, and at the same time I was taking evening courses to be an an OR assistant for the surgeon I was working for. And my then husband, he was the one that gave me another shove and said, hey, why don't you go and pursue a music degree, because music is what you love, what you grew up with. And I just remember thinking, no, that's crazy talk. There's no way I'm going to be able to, provide or help provide for the family that we had back then with a music degree. And so, but then because of his support back then, I went and pursued a degree in music education, not music performance, not singing. And that's when I started taking the courses for music education and started discovering the operatic repertoire, and I got kind of intrigued by my first opera that I ever watched there at UNLV was La Bohème by Puccini. Just moved to tears, and I thought, wow, this is amazing. So then consequently I auditioned for the next opera, got a cover role, then the lady or the girl I was covering ended up dropping out. Then I had to go on and learn the role, and it's just so fascinating, and it definitely feeds into my drive, into the fascination that I have with this art form, and it's just been kind of uphill slowly since then.
Your trajectory has been really, really quick. You graduated not that long ago.
Correct.
You graduated in 2011.
Yes,
ma'am. You and I are sitting here in 2016, and you were hired right out of university by Opera San Jose. Mm-hmm. You had a prestigious fellowship in New York City, Martina Arroyo, and you were hired to cover at the Metropolitan Opera. Also, singing here in Boise, singing in Tampa, singing in Virginia. All of this has happened in such a short period of time for you.
Yeah, it has. It's a little overwhelming, but thankful every day. It's definitely mind-blowing to think about where I started and where I am now. It's crazy.
What is it, Cecilia, about the art form that drew you in and continues to draw you in? What does it do for you?
Well, for me, first of all, the singing. Well, people need to realize that the singing that we're trained to do is not just opening our mouths and hoping something comes out. It's definitely, there's a science behind it all, and it's the training that we do to be able to project our voices properly, carry over an orchestra and fill sometimes a 3,000 seat house is a very slow learned science and process, and that for me is what makes the wheels in my head kind of turn, and I love it. I love being able to master something that my teacher tells me, well, try to master something. Another thing people need to realize that opera singing isn't just a bunch of overweight people standing on stage and yelling at each other and sometimes wearing big horned hats. That's not what it is. There are stories. Some stories are about love, some are comedies, and being from a Latino background, I'd have to say opera stories are sometimes kind of like Latin telenovelas. And that's what I told my mom. It's like, it's just what it is. It's a very detailed storytelling, not just with a libretto, but with the music that just, to me anyway, just feeds into every corner of my soul, and I guess that's the drive that I want to be able to share that with everyone, because it's just such a fascinating art form, and I love it. It's so fun.
I suppose that many people don't realize how much acting is involved, and not just necessarily overacting, because I think that, opera may have that reputation as well, along with the horned hats, but there's very subtle acting that goes on as well, and certainly on stage in La Traviata, when you're performing as Violetta, you see that in these very tiny movements and in the silences as well.
Definitely. It's with this role in particular, Violeta is such a real person to me. She's so relatable in the fact that she wants to be loved but has never had that opportunity, and now that this gentleman pops up declaring his very sincere love for her, and she gives into it. I mean, and that's why I tell, especially my family, this is the one story, the one opera that you should probably go to if of any operas, because of how real the characters are and how real the storyline is. And Violeta again goes through, she has to sacrifice the person that she loves so that other people can be happy, and who hasn't done that at one point or another, you know? It's just, I feel like she's a very real person because of that, because you're able to see the arch of how she starts, where she's happy, and how much she's suffering, and then how much she loses at the end.
The end is absolutely exquisite.
Yep.
The duet, absolutely exquisite.
Oh, just got goosebumps just thinking about it.
The acting is very important for you, but again, you don't have formal acting background.
No, I don't. Not even during my training at UNLV, there was no theater courses for us to take under the curriculum I was in. And in fact, when I was at Opera San Jose, I remember very vividly this meeting that I had with Miss Dallas, who was then the head of Opera San Jose. She started the company. I had a meeting. She goes, "Where did you learn how to act? What school did you go to? What conservatory did you spend that money to go?" And I'm like, "Well, I came from very humble beginnings, UNLV, and I watched a lot of novelas with my mom growing up." She goes, "Well, that's probably it then. It's that fiery passion that's in you." I'm like, "Well," so I don't know. I just, it's easy for me to make a character come to life because it's a person. And I have a lot of things in my life that I can personally relate to in the characters that I'm portraying. And so, I don't know, maybe that's why another thing that it's easy for me to show my vulnerability as Cecilia, but playing whatever character it is, to make it that much more real.
You're on the road a lot. You have a 10-year-old child.
I do.
So I'm sure you can draw on that feeling that you have being away from her.
Yeah, it's hard not to get emotional when I talk about her, because it's just, both she and I have been going through such, I mean, we've sacrificed a lot as a mother and daughter, and I mean, she's watched me on lots of stages and performed plenty of roles, and at her young age, she's also, you know, she comes off being a little older than she is, but she's very wise and patient with Mom, with me, and she understands. But at the same time, it's hard not to, for the both of us to tear up and say, you know what, someday, all of these sacrifices that we're going through, they'll be worth it in the end. And I firmly believe that, because that's another thing that my parents taught us. We went through a lot, and still do. Who doesn't? But it's something that my parents taught us to keep working, head lifted, stay strong, and we will definitely reap the rewards of what we work towards.
You travel for months at a time?
Sometimes. Like right now, let's see, I haven't been home since early January, and I don't think I'll be home until mid-April. And then I have about 2 weeks I'll be home, and then I hit the road again. So
you're making a Carnegie Hall debut.
I am.
In June of 2016.
I am.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, it's a big thing. I said that to my parents. I'm like, oh, okay, what's that? So for me, it's a huge milestone, like the Met was for me. I was like, oh, I don't care that I'm covering. It's the Met.
And for people who don't know what covering is, that is an understudy. Correct. Essentially for acting. What do your parents think of all of this?
They're more supportive now. I think when I first started, they were a little skeptical and they hesitant as to what I was doing, singing on stage. They just didn't understand what I was doing, and it wasn't until they saw me in Madame Butterfly, and that's when my dad he came backstage and he goes, "I'm so proud of you," and just the way the R rolled off his tongue was so fun and cute, and just very sincere to hear my dad say something like that in English, even, because he never speaks to us in English. And then my mom, for the same production, she was able to be with me for like about a week and went to all of the rehearsals and saw how long of a process it was to go in early in the morning, have a dinner break, and then leave late at night, go home, and then the next day repeat. And my mom was tired by then. When she went home, we're back to Rupert, she was like, wow, this is a job. This is hard work. I'm like, yeah, it's not just putting on costumes and having fun on stage. It's a lot of work, but I love it. And now they're really supportive. They, if I ever have good news for them, they'll be thrilled, and then they'll ask, now what's that? Just so I can give them the kind of the story, the breakdown of what role I'm performing, or what's company I'm working with, or whatever.
Well, and people from Rupert are really proud of you. Your choir director's coming to see you in La Traviata.
I haven't seen him in 16 years. I'm just so happy. It's just a lot of people, a couple other friends are going too, and for the same, I haven't seen him in years, and it'll be nice to share this with them.
Let's talk about your voice a little bit more. How would you describe your voice to somebody and its unique qualities?
Oh, I don't know. I've been told that I'm a fuller sounding soprano, which is great. All I want to do is to sing, but I do have fun every now and then when I can reach like a Queen of the Night F, but I would never sing a Queen of the Night role live. But then, for example, I'm preparing the role of Fiordiligi for Opera Tampa, and that role is known for being all over the scale. She sings ridiculously low, and then it's a very challenging role musically, but I'm having so much fun with it to be able to go down and then high and middle. And
Is there an octave range that you support?
I would say, if I had to put it on paper, 4 octaves, a 4 octave range that I have.
What does it feel like when you are on stage and this is moving through you, this power?
It's very moving for me. I mean, I've used this adjective before. It's very overwhelming because I just know I get moved by the music and the lyrics, and just to be able to sit or stand on a stage and share what I love to do, and then just be able to communicate the story to audiences is just an opportunity that not many people have, and it's surreal. It's every time it's like an out-of-body experience, and if I always try to make it a goal, it's just if anything out of this performance, I want to move at least one person, just one person. That's all.
I imagine it could be exhausting too at the end of it.
Definitely emotionally exhausting, because again, it's just, I like to just wear my emotions on my sleeves, if you will, and everything is so moved. There's a line where Violeta in this production, she says, what am I going to tell him being Alfredo? What am I going to tell him, and who is going to give me the courage? And I look up into all of the lights of the theater, and it's just so overwhelming to think that as Cecilia, like, where am I going to get the strength to do this for this character? And it's crazy, the surreal out of body experiences that granted it's Violeta, but it feels like it's Cecilia, and it's all married into one.
Do you still get nervous? I imagine there's a piece of excitement that happens.
Yeah, I think I still get nervous, but I think I've learned to channel the nerves into something more positive to help the performance come to life.
The word diva is intimately associated with opera.
Yes.
Good and bad.
Correct.
How do you perceive that word, and are you a diva?
I think my perception of that word has changed in my short career that I've had. I used to think of it also as everyone else sees it, something kind of negative. I'm like, oh, she wants her water hot. What a diva. But my teacher, Diana Soviero, who is a very well-known singer-actress from a generation ago of opera singers, she, in my opinion, is like one of the many divas that I look up to, because she is classy, she is something very mysterious about her, but then she's also very warm and inviting and gives her all sorts of energy to her students, and she's very supportive, but never in a negative way. So that for me, that term now, diva, is that, and that's something that I aspire to be like my teacher, to be the classy operatic performer that people look up to, hopefully, in years to come.
Why was it important for you to talk to students while you were here? And not only talk to students, but you went to an extremely rural area.
I did.
Between Bruno and Grandview.
It was extremely rural. I thought where I went to school was rural, but this was definitely a very rural community. But I felt it was something that I needed to do just so that kids could see that the dreams do come true if you work hard for them. Because never in my lifetime had I imagined ever being an opera singer. And I'm not saying that they necessarily have to choose an operatic career, but whatever they set their minds to do, they will do it. They just need to work for it, and they will hopefully be important people in society that the rest of us look up to. And I felt that was, I needed to say that to them, because sometimes I remember growing up in Rupert, it just felt like our little kingdom in Rupert, Idaho, and we never ventured outside of our little bubble, if you will. And once I discovered like Las Vegas, I moved to Las Vegas, and I went, what? There's something completely different. And I realized that there are resources out there for us, and no matter where we come from, our dreams can become a reality if we just work and work and work for them.
Cecilia, one of the reviewers who watched a performance of yours said that you were ready for the biggest stages in the world.
Oh.
What are your goals in that respect?
Oh, the biggest stages in the world. I hope to be able to share what I love to do on stages, big and small, and doesn't matter, just as long as I keep on doing what I love to do, to spread the word. Spread the word that opera is a beautiful art form, and it's, I don't know, it's just something that everyone should experience at least once in their lifetime, and I hope I'm able to do that for many, many years.
Where will Idaho stay in your heart as part of that?
Oh, it's forever in my heart. Idaho is a foundation of me, not just my family, but I have friends that I still talk to today that I grew up with here in Idaho, and Idaho is a great place for me and my family to grow up, and it's just, I have the best memories as a child, and I complain about it now with my brothers or my brother and my mom about how she would get us up really early to go hoe beats, but in retrospect, it's just one of the best experiences that I wouldn't change for the world, because it made me who I am, for sure. And so Idaho is a special place for, love it dearly.
Well, thank you. Thank you for taking time on your day off before your performance to come and talk with me and our viewers who are watching you. And the best of luck and everything. I hope you'll come back.
Thank you.
When you are on those big stages of the world.
I hope so too.
Come back to Idaho and clue us in as to what it's like.
Definitely. Thank you for having me. I'm so thankful. I
Absolutely.
can't tell you how thankful I am.
Thanks so much. You've been listening to Cecilia Violeta Lopez. She grew up in Rupert, Idaho, and she's a rising opera star. For more information and to hear more from Cecilia, check out the Dialogue website. Just go to idahoptv.org and click on Dialogue. For Dialogue, I'm Marcia Franklin. Thanks for tuning in.
Presentation of Dialogue on Idaho Public Television is made possible through the generous support of the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore and Bettis family legacy of building the great state of Idaho. By the Friends of Idaho Public Television and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Check out our website, become a friend on Facebook, or follow us on Twitter.